everybody, Michelle McClunan, astrologer and life navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the next full moon, which is happening on the 24th of April. In some places it might be the 23rd, because in South Africa it's happening in the early hours of the 24th. And it's happening in the water sign of Scorpio. We have a very big conjunction before the full moon, which I want to speak to you about as well. So there's quite a lot to cover in this update. So let's first look at this conjunction. We have coming up on the 21st of April, we have two giant planets meeting in the skies. And this only happens once every 12 to 14 years. It's the planet Jupiter and the planet Uranus. And there's very big energy. Okay, so this cycle that's actually happening right now, it's leading up to it, they're already moving together. It's basically going to be with us for a while, because what I want to explain is that when something happens in astrology, basically it's the seeding of something, it's the birth of something. So when I do a new moon video, it's the birthing of a new lunar month. Full moon is the culmination point, the high point of that lunar cycle. All the planets have those cycles. There's a constant flow of planets moving around. So when we have a big conjunction or a big eclipse in a sign, what it basically means is that it's a seeding of a moment. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to change on that day or at that exact moment. But at that moment or on that day, there's a portal, there's a beginning, there's a seeding point, if you like, almost like a conception. And then the energy of it actually plays out over the next month, over the next year, depending on the movement of those planets and how slow or how fast they are. So for example, an eclipse's effects can be felt for 6 months. A new moon can be felt for a month. This Jupiter-Uranus conjunction will be felt for a lot longer than that, because they're moving together in the sign of Taurus. Okay, so what are these two planets? Well, Jupiter is what we call a beneficial or a benefic planet, which basically means that it's a good planet. So we all look for Jupiter transits to our chart because it generally, and I'm saying generally, means abundance, opportunity, growth, expansion, higher consciousness, wisdom. It's the biggest planet in our solar system. So it exudes a very, very strong energy, Jupiter. So that's Jupiter. Jupiter has a 12-year cycle. And then we've got the planet Uranus, or Uranus, you can say it either way. Uranus or Uranus is the planet of change, the planet of unpredictable happenings. It's kind of got an electric energy about it. It's got an out there energy. It's out of the box. It represents the free spirit energy, the revolutionary, the rebel. Now, Aquarius, just to give you a little bit more astrology, if you're into astrology, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So we've all been talking about Pluto going into Aquarius. So there's a Uranian tie-in because Uranus rules Aquarius. And so these energies, this time in our history as humans, we are moving and shifting into higher levels of consciousness, as I've been talking about. And this is yet another point to assist us in this journey. So what happens when you put these two planets together? Well, anything that Jupiter touches enlarges, expands, gets bigger. So you can have bigger change. You can have bigger freedom movements, bigger protests, because Uranus rules the people, rules protests. So you can have bigger people, more people trying to find freedom, trying to find liberation, trying to escape out of slavery, comfort zones, getting out of the box. You can have a lot of that because there's an ignitory energy. You can also have higher wisdom coming in. You can also have definite insights coming in from seemingly from nowhere. Or you can have sudden events, unpredictable happenings, where you thought that something was going one way and suddenly there is a complete change. There's a changing of tides. there's a shifting point, there's a change in gear. Now that can be very beneficial, or it can be unpredictable and surprising and maybe even quite challenging. It all depends on where it's touching your chart, how it's working with you particularly, and what's up for you in your soul's journey. So we can't predict that, how it's actually going to affect you. What it will do though, is these two are coming together at the 21st degree of Taurus. So if you have your chart and you know what your chart looks like and you understand the houses, you can look to see where 21 degrees of Taurus is, and you'll find that it's in a particular area of your chart. So any fixed signs, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, anything at around about those degrees, say 19 to 22 or 23 degrees Taurus, might be affected more than somebody that doesn't have that. So again, a little bit more astrology, and I want to actually bring in a little bit more teaching into my videos because a lot of you are really interested in astrology. And so I'm really trying to make them as easy to understand as possible. Hopefully that's working, because astrology is a language and we need to start understanding the language in order to understand the movements of the planets. So if you look at the fixed energy in your chart, those planets that are 21st to 21 to 19 to 21 degrees, that's where you would find or feel this energy, probably more so than other people. So for example, you can have nothing at those degrees in your chart, and this transit or this movement can come and you can feel it, but it doesn't really directly impact you as far as you know. Although we're all the collective, and as is the macrocosm, as is the microcosm. So everything that's happening out there is happening to us, but it would happen more if you have anything at those degrees. Okay. So when we look now at Jupiter and Uranus coming together, I've mentioned could be sudden changes, sudden events, unpredictable happenings, flashes of insight, opportunities that somehow arise. You could be really ready to start something new and take a chance, take a risk, do something different. Uranus is all about doing something different, not getting stuck in the past. Also changing of old patterns, clearing old patterns and programs that we have had for a very long time. So the last time Jupiter and Uranus came together, they came together in the sign of Aries, and that happened in 2010. So round about 2010, doesn't have to be the exact date, in 2010, early 2011, you may find that there's another similar energy. It would probably be playing out differently because it would be in a different area of your chart. Prior to that, we go back to February, around about February 1997, where there could also have been a change that year, not just in February. For me personally, definitely was something shifting there. And that Uranus-Jupiter conjunction happened at 6 degrees of Aquarius. So anything at 6 degrees of Aquarius. This is where astrology gets really fascinating. And then the one prior to that was 1983. Some of you might not be old enough to remember that, but I do. And it was also quite profound. And that was at 8 degrees of Sagittarius. So as the planets move around, obviously they move around in different signs. So the theme is similar, but it plays out differently. Suffice to say though, this is a beneficial, possibly, transit or conjunction coming together. It can mean a shake-up, a wake-up, and a gear change, a shift change. So while I'm on that subject, before I go into the full moon, which is happening a few days after this, when this Uranus-Jupiter transit is still very active, the full moon happens on the 24th of April. So there's quite a lot happening over the next weekend and into next week. So on the subject of gear shifting, John and I, my partner and I, will be running our annual Buddhist Retreat Center retreat, and that's happening from the 10th to the 14th of May, and it's basically called the Shift Experience. So we are tuning into the energy of this shift, of this gear change, and providing a place basically where you can reset, reboot, where you can go back to neutral. You know, if you're driving a car and you need to change gears, you need to put the thing in neutral first, otherwise you scrape the gears. and then you put it into gear. So we're seeing this retreat as a gear change, as a time to slow down, connect, go into neutral, and prepare yourself through meditation, through walking, through some art that we're going to do, through sharing, through group work, and we actually can bring in this really big shift in consciousness together, because not only is Jupiter and Uranus coming together, but as I've been discussing, Pluto has moved into Aquarius, and that's a massive shift in consciousness. So join us if you like. I'll put the description where you can find out more in the link below, and you would need to book directly with the Buddhist Retreat Center. The Buddhist Retreat Center is situated outside of Durban. It's in Ikopo, which is an hour or so out of Durban. It's in the rolling green hills of Zululand. It's an exquisite venue, and it's really worth going there if you haven't been there before. The food is sublime, and it's a very, very peaceful place and the perfect place to retreat to. And I'll also be announcing in the next few weeks other retreats that we have lined up for this year, because it's such a big, exciting, shifting year. So now on to the full moon, which, as I say, is still carrying the theme of this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And the full moon happens on the 24th, for some people on the 23rd of April, comes together in the sign of Scorpio, which is a fixed water sign. And Scorpio has a deep, intense, penetrating, passionate energy. It's a transformational energy. The sign of Scorpio has 3 different layers. The bottom layer is the scorpion, which a lot of people know, that's the only thing that they know about Scorpio, that if you stand on a scorpion, it might bite you, might even kill you if it's a really dangerous one. That's the lowest vibration. In other words, you hurt me and I will get you back. I'll have my revenge. The next up from that is the all-seeing eagle, which I like to see almost as a fish eagle. I'm South African, and the fish eagle sits in a tree and waits for the right moment. He observes, he looks, he observes, he's a witness. And at the right moment, he swoops down and he gets the fish out of the lake or wherever it is. So obviously that is on our soul's evolutionary journey, we're actually evolving into the observer, into the witness. We don't have to be vengeful and filled with war and rage. Scorpio is ruled by the planet Pluto, which is the planet of transformation, and it's co-ruled by the planet Mars. Mars is the planet of war. So as we evolve as souls, we hopefully leave behind the war and actually start to become more of the observer. You can also see it as the phoenix rising from the ashes. So something happening in our world, and we're actually able to rise up above it. And then some people see that the top layer of Scorpio is the peace dove, where we're actually kind of just being centered and peaceful, no matter what's going on. And in so doing, we can hold that beautiful, peaceful energy for other people. So that's a little bit more about Scorpio. Now, the new moon's in Scorpio. It's opposite the sun in Taurus, which always happens at a full moon in Scorpio. And a full moon is always a time of culmination. So it's a building up of energy. And then at full moon, we release that energy. We give out whatever we don't need. We let go of old patterns. Now, involved in all of this, we also have Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio. And Pluto is in what we call a square to the sun and the moon. So you've got the sun here, the moon here, Pluto over there in a beautiful square, which basically what that does is it adds more oomph to the full moon. It adds more Scorpio Plutonian kind of energy. So it can add more intensity. It can add more depth. And if we look at Pluto, the ruler, Pluto wants us to drill down and get to the bottom of stuff that we need to actually release. So what's happening at this full moon, there's a lot of other alignments happening. We've got Mercury, Chiron, and Venus all together, and they are, that's the healing of old patterns, old thought patterns, old programs, but by going down, by going deeper, by really looking at what our motivations are, what our drives are, what is programmed, and where we have free choice. We always have free choice, but we don't have it when we're in a program. We have to actually get into neutral so that we're not in the program. And so I feel that this whole time that we're in as humanity has the potential for us to liberate ourselves from these deeply, deeply, deeply entrenched programs. So during this full moon in Scorpio, power issues can come up, issues around money, issues around security, issues around what we thought was secure, which probably isn't anymore or might have changed, power issues, power struggles, manipulations around that. And again, the ability to transform those interactions or those old patterns. So any old patterns that we have around money, patterns of lack, patterns of concern, patterns of fear, patterns of poverty, those can actually also be transformed with this energy of the full moon, with Pluto in play, plus Chiron and Mercury and Venus, also in Aries, which is actually saying to us, step into your power. Step into who you really are as a being of light, as a being of love. And I think to end with, we look at the alternate ruler of the full moon in Scorpio, which is Mars. And Mars at the moment is in the sign of Pisces, completing his full journey around the zodiac and preparing for a new journey as Mars enters into Aries. And Mars is coming around and meeting with Neptune. So what that's saying is, can we bring compassion in to whatever situation we're finding ourselves in? Can we bring compassion for ourselves and the other? Can we stay neutral? Can we stay centered? Can we find our own sense of spiritual solidity in the face of all the chaos in the world? All sorts of things are happening right now. So can we find our stability? Can we find our source of truth within us? Can we bring ourselves into the center of the wheel? That's what the ruler is saying. He's moving into a conjunction or into an alignment with Neptune. Neptune is the planet which rules our spiritual connection, our true connection. It shows us that we are all connected, like the ocean. It's the king of the ocean. So the way to navigate all of this is to bring ourselves back, to do a lot of forgiveness work. If you haven't come across it, the Ho'oponopono, have a look it up, and I would strongly suggest that you use that as a way to actually let go and release. It's a forgiveness prayer. It's a Hawaiian forgiveness prayer. There's a lot written about it on the internet, but try it yourself. It's very, very powerful. When there's nothing that you can do about a situation, when things are out of our control, then the best thing we can do is to forgive, release, and center, and stay neutral. And the universe has a funny way of wobbling into place when we do that, because we're not in control always, as much as we'd like to be. So those are the keys. Stay in flow, breathe, ground. Sun in Taurus is saying ground. Go outside, lay on the grass, put your feet in the earth, walk in nature, spend time slowing down. The Sun in Taurus for the next month, it's a time to slow down a little bit. We've had this crazy energy in Aries. Slow down. See if you can eat slower. See if you can walk a little bit slower. See if you can really slow down to listen to what someone's saying to you. Connect with your body. See what your body's saying. How am I feeling about this? How am I feeling today? Do I need more water? Do I need different food? Do I need to take myself for a walk? It's a time for us to just be more cognizant of the body. And this is also another theme for Jupiter and Uranus. They're in the sign of Taurus. So body awareness is coming to the fore. Food awareness is coming to the fore. Are we eating the right foods for our bodies? So it's a time of great change, great opportunity to shift gears, but we do so by going into neutral, by connecting to something more powerful more real than the passing sands of time and all the stuff out there that carries on going all the time, finding our center in the middle of it all. So I'm not going to read a card today, because it's quite a long broadcast already. I hope this has helped you. If it has, please would you share this video? Please would you comment? I'd love to hear how you are experiencing these alignments. And click the notification button so that you can be notified when I put another video out. And if you would like to see how these very, very big energies are playing out in your chart, you're welcome to contact me through my website, and the details are in the description below. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care. Lots of love.